Good evening, folks. Back again for another week. This is going to be for Thursday, the 29th. Yep, 29th. We have a 6-game slate. First game is UCLA and Cincinnati. It's in Cincinnati. Right now it's sitting at, let me pull up the odds page here. We're sitting at a total of 58. Cincinnati's favored by 3. So, I mean, it's a pretty even game. Taking the 3 points out of the equation with Cincinnati being at home. That's a pretty good size total. A little bit higher than I expected. We can take a look here at the DFS plays from that game. Let's see, let me pull this up here. Cincinnati. And UCLA. Okay. So first, if we let's take a look at the quarterbacks on those two teams here, UCLA, Cincy. Okay. So first off, we have Desmond Ridder. He's 7,400 on DK and 9,300 on FD. They have a team total of 30.75, so kind of expect about 4 touchdowns or so. He is a dual threat quarterback. He is pretty quick. He gets a lot of designed runs, and some are just off schedule plays that he can take off. Now the UCLA defense is pretty good against the run, so I have him for about 40 yards total rushing. Could be a little bit higher than that. It just depends. Now UCLA doesn't rush the passer very well, so just kind of trying to fall in the middle there with those rushing yards. UCLA's secondary is really good. They have most of their guys coming back, so I don't suspect him to throw for close to around 200 yards or so. It's not his strong point, and that receiving core isn't great. They lost their best receiver.
Auto shutdown initiated.
Last year, so you could see possibly them dropping off just a little.
Down
bit.
canceled.
It is
Powering
a home
off.
game, for Cincinnati, so he won't have to deal with the crowd noise as much. Now for UCLA, Dorian Thompson-Robinson is their guy. He's not really a dual threat guy. He may run the ball just when he's pressured. So he's 6,700 on DK, which is about where he should be, and 7,300 on FD. Excuse me. I like him on FD a lot because he's cheap. If you need the salary elsewhere, you can probably just use him in there, and he may hit value for you. I have him about 230 yards, a touchdown, and 1 INT. Let's see. Sorry, my work computer's going off there. Now, running back wise, let's see. Let me pull up UCLA, Cincy. Running back wise, on the Cincy side, we have Michael Warren the second. He is a workhorse back, so he's going to get most of the carries. For 7,800 on DK, that's seems like a pretty good bargain. I probably won't have too much of them because I respect the UCLA defense a little bit. So if they score touchdowns, you may get a couple there from him. So you're looking for something in the area of 25 to 28 points from him if you can get it. I have him just under that, so I probably won't have as much. Now the on the UCLA side, they have they use two backs primarily. They'd love to just use Joshua Kelly as much as possible, but he's been banged up. He had a knee brace on, a big knee brace on about a week ago, and now he's using a smaller one. So at that 8K price, I don't really love him on DK. Don't love him on FD either at 9,600. So I'm kind of fading him. I like Martell Irby. He's his backup, and supposedly he's been playing really, really well in practice and scrimmages. I like him at his price point of 3,200 on DK and 5,200 on FD. I think he's going to split carries. I just don't see how Joshua Kelly is back all the way yet. Now Casimir Allen, he's the kind of big play guy. He had a big play in this game last year, I think a 76-yard run. So he didn't do much else. So if maybe he can make a big play and get value for you. I just don't see it. They don't love him either. They have him third on the depth chart for a reason. So I like Irby there if you're going to play anybody from that game. So let's look at receivers here. Let's see. Now Rashad Medeiros is their slot guy, is Cincy slot guy. He got about 4 targets per game last year with Cincy's best wide receiver graduating. You may see some more action, but for 6,600, I don't love him on DK. 7,900 on FD, I like that a little bit more. He could get value there. Now a lot of people are talking up Alec Pierce, so I know other sites have talked about him quite a bit. He's supposedly been the best receiver in camp. So 3,500, I don't hate it, but if he's going to be really popular, which it looks like he probably will be, I might have less than I planned, because I kind of liked him to begin with. Let's see. The other guy I really like is Josiah DeGara. He's a tight end. He's kind of Ritter's dump-off guy. So if he's in trouble, just kind of throws it to him, lets him do his thing. He's got real talent too. He can make plays down the field. So, and they use him near the end zone as well. So 5,100 on DK, I like him if you want a good solid option, because I don't see him getting less than 3 catches. Maybe one of them's a touchdown. So I really like him on FD. He kind of needs a touchdown to make value. So he could do that. You just don't know. I like it. Now the UCLA receivers, we have Theo Howard has been their big play guy over the last couple years. He's a senior as well. I think he was listed second on the depth chart. He had been banged up, so don't know. Maybe closer to kickoff we can get some more news on that, because I haven't heard anything otherwise on him. So we're just waiting on news on that. If he's not full strength, I wouldn't play him. They list Jalen Irwin as the starter. He's a JUCO transfer, and supposedly he's been opening eyes in camp as well. Another guy I wanted to look at is Demetric Felton. He's their slot guy, and actually no, he's the outside receiver. They kind of experimented with him in the as a running back, but moved him back, and he's listed as a starter as well. So I kind of like him. Jordan Wilson is the tight end. He's trying to take the place of Caleb Wilson, who graduated last year. So I kind of like him. They love to throw to the tight end as well. Let's see. All right, so moving on to the next game here. Let me see if there's anything else I wanted to look at. Nope. All right, so Georgia Tech and Clemson is the next game. This game is going to be a blowout, so I'm going to try to limit guys that we play from this one if we can. Let's see. All right, so the Clemson quarterback, of course, is the best quarterback in the nation, Trevor Lawrence. Have him down for about 33.8 DK. So I really like him there. He's 9K, which is a discount right now. he's gonna be close to 1100 most weeks when it's not a blowout. If he happens to play the whole game, maybe they want to get big numbers for him because they want to build up his Heisman campaign. He could definitely put up a huge crooked number there. The other the other guy, let's see. Nope. That's about it. Now Chase Bryce probably will come in at some point once it's out of hand. He's going to be the backup there. Supposedly really good as well, as you would expect. It's Clemson. Georgia Tech. So they are supposedly starting Lucas Johnson, who I don't really like at all. I don't see how he moves the ball against Clemson at all. They're going to have that undersized offensive line from running the option all those years, and they're just not going to have the guys. Clemson's going to destroy them. The guy I kind of like late game, if it gets there, I'm not going to play him because there's better options at this price point, but Tobias Oliver is supposedly going to be the backup, and he runs the ball a little bit more. You could see him possibly get in and throw the ball a little bit and maybe run one in because that's his strong point there. But yeah, I kind of like him. If you're at least going to play any one from that game, but I'm not going to do it. Clemson's just too good on both sides. The running backs on both sides. Travis Etienne is just amazing. They're supposedly going to try and throw him the ball a little bit more this year. The only risk you have is a blowout. Last year, if you remember, they substituted their backs quite a bit. Maybe give 2 series to someone, but I think they want to get him a lot of carries, maybe in the first half or so, and only will take a couple carries for him to get his points there. His backup is Lynn J. Dixon, getting a lot of pub as well. He's 6,300 on DK, 7,800 on FD. I don't really like him. He's kind of priced too high, still 6,300. That's a lot to pay. Maybe we may see a little bit of Darian Rencher. He's the third string. If we see a lot of him, maybe a whole fourth quarter, he can hit value easy. It's only 3K, so that looks good to me. 2 running backs for Georgia Tech I don't love, just because of Clemson's defensive line. Maybe we see Jordan Mason punch one in. He was popular last year when Georgia Tech's running back got hurt. We used him quite a bit when they were running the option as the dive guy. But yeah, I don't love that either. Trying to stay away from Georgia Tech. I just don't see them doing much of anything. Let's see. All right. Let's pull up the receivers here. Now, Clemson used to have a bunch of good receivers. They still have a pretty good bunch here. Starting with T. Higgins. Now, they have Higgins and Ross. Both of them are threats to score from anywhere on the field. So you can see either of them going off and scoring quite a bit. I don't think they'll be extremely popular just because everybody's going to be paying up for running back. So you may get lesser ownership on those guys if somehow you can pay down at running back. So that could be something you do. DeAndre Overton's going to be starting in the slot for who is it? Someone's out with the injury. Amari Rogers. Amari Rogers is out, so Overton's going to take his place. He's a senior. He hasn't really done anything up until then, and he's going to be extremely popular at 3,400. You can fade if you want. That's I've seen other sites big on him. I don't love him. I see him getting maybe he had one big game last year where he had over 70 yards or something. So if you get 70 yards at 3,400, I'll just go and cry in a corner or something. But I don't love that. I don't love playing him. I much more like playing Joseph Ngata. Joseph Nada, I don't know how you say it, something like that. He's a big recruit and supposedly getting big pub in camp. Just how smart he is. He's a true freshman, so play at your own risk, but I love him in GPPs, especially 4,400 on DK and 5K on FD even. I mean, that's 1,000 above minimum. I love him on FD if you're going to play him. And on the Georgia Tech side, just don't play anybody. The wide receivers, I guess Jalen Camp would be okay. He could break one. He was pretty good last year. So that's the only guy I'd even look at there. All right, on to the next game here. We have Utah at BYU. I think this game is kind of going to be under the radar just because of the total. We have a new offensive coordinator on the Utah side moving over from Vanderbilt. They had a really slow pace, but they had a really efficient offense. So if Utah moves the ball well, they can score pretty quick. We have a dual threat quarterback in Tyler Huntley, and he can really move it. BYU runs a zone, so they're going to have a lot of the field left open. They kind of run a bend but don't break type of defense. So you're going to have a lot of the field open for those receivers. The problem with Utah is they have quite a few receivers. Excuse me, but you just don't know what's going to happen there. For BYU at quarterback, it's Zach Wilson. He's 6,100 on DK and 8,200 on FD. So I like him on both sites. DK, he can really run the ball. So if for some reason that Utah defense isn't as good as everybody thinks, he can come out and put up a good number. At only 6,100, he only has to get just over 20 or so. So I like him a lot. He has big upside. He's very accurate and very tough. He can get up there and run some, get some long runs for you, score some touchdowns. The Utah quarterback is Tyler Huntley. He's back from his collarbone issue from last year. He's also a dual threat guy. He's kind of just a tough runner. He'll run over people if he has to, and he's a shorter quarterback. I think he's like 6'1", so he can definitely do some damage at 6,200 on DK. I don't like him as much on FD at 9,100, but DK for sure, because he'll run the ball in down on the goal line quite easily for you. And let's look at the running backs here. So Tyson Williams, he just transferred from South Carolina. He was named the starter. He's going to be extremely popular as well. He's 4,500 on DK and 7,900 on FD. I think he's okay to play on DK just because I think he's going to get some catches as well. So I think he's probably okay there. We don't know what his carries are going to look like. Is the issue. They have two good running backs right behind him in Lupini Katoa and Emmanuel Isukpa. Isukpa is the transfer from Rice, and he was really good there. He's a big back. Doesn't really catch the ball much, but he can make some plays. Katoa was there last year. He was pretty good last year as well. So they could go to him at the goal line. You you just don't know what they're going to do. They just have 3 good running backs, and that's kind of scary if you're going to pay for someone. I wouldn't do it on FD, Tyson Williams on FD, but definitely on DK is worth a look. He's just going to be popular, so just have to be aware of that. Now, BYU's running back is pretty easy. Zach Moss. He's a pretty talented kid. They have the new offensive coordinator says he wants to run the ball quite a bit. He did at Vanderbilt as well. So I could see him getting a bunch of carries and also some passes. They love to throw the ball to the running back as well. Devontae Henry Cole was actually named the backup. He's 3,400 on DK. I need to change that projection. Just saw that today. So he could get some carries as well, but I don't expect it to be a ton, maybe 3 or 4. So definitely like Zach Moss. He's going to be in my core no matter what. I think he runs the ball quite a bit there. So receiver wise, let's see. Utah, BYU. Receiver wise, for BYU, it's kind of rough as well. They have, let's see, I think their main go-to guy is going to be Matt Bushman. He's their tight end. He had some big plays in this game last year, so I think they go to him quite a bit. And I don't love their receivers that much. The starters, we have Micah Simon is starting as well. Let's see. Aliva Hefo is starting. He started last year as well and was pretty good, pretty consistent. If looking for a cash play, I think that might be a good option there. He's 4,400 on DK. The other starter on the outside is Talon Shumway, and he's 4,400 as well. I don't love him, but he's a big receiver, so maybe he can get something near the end zone. So he looks pretty good. Let's see. All right, and the Utah wide receivers, they have a couple of good options here. Like I said, BYU runs that zone, so the middle of the field is pretty wide open. They like to throw it quick, get the ball out. Britton Covey was their guy last year. He plays in the slot, gets a lot of those short passes, and just falls down. So I can see him getting a value pretty easily at 4,400 on DK. I don't love him on FD at 8,100. He's not really an end zone threat, so I like him on DK if you're going to do it. Damari Simpkins is the other guy. Is he starting? Let's see. I think I saw where he's starting. Yeah, he's starting on the outside. He's a senior, and he's looked good in camp supposedly. Brian Thompson is one of the other starters. He's looked really good. He's been injured most of his career there, but is supposedly the best athlete they have at receiver. They like him a lot. Jalen Dixon is their deep play threat. He can really get it over the top, but with BYU playing that zone, I don't really love it. They kind of prevent the big play, so he's going to have to catch some underneath to make value. He's 5,800 on DK. Oh, that's crazy. 6,700 on FD. I like it a little more, but I just don't see him scoring a touchdown. He's just I think he's going to be held in check by that BYU zone. Let's see. There was someone else. Brant. This guy here, Brant Kuth. He's only 4K. He's a tight end. The offensive coordinator loves throwing to the tight ends back to his time at Vanderbilt. He had some tight ends with big numbers. Now, they were good tight ends, but I think Brant is pretty good as well. He's only 4K on DK and 4,500 on FD. So He can hit value pretty easily with just a touchdown. He was pretty good last year as a freshman. He's a sophomore this year. And yeah, they love using the tight end. So I like that a lot. Like I said, the team total for BYU is only 20.75, and the team total for Utah is 26.25. I think it's going over the total. I know it's a rivalry game, but I kind of like the offenses here. And BYU's trying to go hurry up a lot more. So I could see them going over that total pretty easy, especially if they break some long plays. Let's see. All right, next game is FIU and Tulane. I like this game a lot. It's probably my second favorite game on the slate. They're pretty close in terms of the line here. We have looks like Tulane's favored by 2. Team total of 27.5 for FIU and a team total of 29.5 for Tulane. Looks like James Morgan, he's the FIU quarterback. He's really stationary. He doesn't really run much at all. He gets sacked a little bit, holds on the ball a little bit too long. So those rushing yards are going to be pretty low if there's any at all. Tulane is really susceptible to the long pass and long run, so he can get his passing yards for sure. Now for Tulane, their quarterback is Justin McMillan. He's a dual threat guy, transfer from LSU. He is 5,700 on DK and 9K on FD. So just play him on DK if you have to. I have him projected for about 20 points, which is pretty good. Now that FIU defensive backfield is pretty good. They have returning all their starters at safety and corner, and some of them are projected to go in the draft. So I really like that FIU defense against the passing game. The running game, they're not great against. They have a bunch of new guys on the line, and it's going to be. I think Tulane's going to be able to run the ball. The play action is going to work every now and then. That should lead to him getting some passing yards. Draw those defensive backs in a little bit. So I kind of like that. It's gonna be a fun game. I think it's gonna be a little bit back and forth with big playability for FIU and Tulane trying to match them. It's just I think that's probably gonna be one of the more fun games of the night. On the running backs here, we have Anthony Jones. He's gonna be the starter for FIU, and he has some big playability as well. He's 6,100 on DK, which probably about right. Then he's kind of the quicker back. Napoleon Maxwell's the bigger back. He's 4,500 on DK and 8,300 on FD. I think that maybe Napoleon Maxwell gets the carries near the end zone. 4,500, you could do worse. So I kind of like him. Devontae Price is the other guy. He's actually going to be lining up in the slot quite a bit. So 4,800 on a PPR site. I love him there. And 6K on FD. I love him there too. If you need a cheap running back for whatever reason, trying to fit in those expensive Clemson receivers, that works too. Because everybody's going to pay up for running back. That's just the way it goes. Maybe all the running backs are terrible the first week, and you pay up for a receiver, you might win the slate. I may have a couple lineups like that, just for lineup construction wise. Okay, so for Tulane, running back, they have Darius Bradwell. He's going to be the big back. He last year took about 60% of the carries, and I think it's going to be similar or more. It's a senior year. He started off as a quarterback there, so he's evolved into a powerful running back. And like I said, FIU isn't going to be great against the run. They may stack it up and force Tulane to throw, but I just don't know. The backup guy is Corey Dauphine, I think that's how you say it. And he's kind of the big play guy. He's really quick. He transferred from Texas Tech. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. 4,700 on DK. I like that if you're paying down. 7,300 on FD. I don't love it over there. And the other guy I wanted to talk about is Amari Jones. He's kind of the big play receiving type, even more so than Dauphine. He actually returns punts and kicks as well. But I like him at 3,300 if you're playing multiple lineups and need like a GPP guy. All right, let's look at receivers here. Both sides. But yeah, this game and the Arizona State game are my favorites. I love them. My sensitivity's off on my mouse. Okay, for the Tulane side, their steadiest receiver is probably Maurice Alexander. He is a converted quarterback as well. He only 6K. Well, he's 6K on DK, which is pretty high for just a possession guy. He kind of catches the ball and falls down as well. Doesn't get much after the catch. An intriguing guy is Bryce Singleton. He's been good, but he had injury issues as well. So, you could see him doing some damage if they throw the ball to him quite a bit. Austin Maloney, he's the big play guy on this team. He's averaging about 20 yards a catch last year. So you could see him get loose here against that Tulane defense that allows a lot of explosive plays. So, he can definitely score some points for you. Tony Gator is the other guy. He's a starter, a senior. He starts on the outside, so he can have some big plays as well. He's 3,800, relatively cheap. But he's going to be rotating in and out with Shamar Thornton as well as another guy. I forget, they had an or on his position with three other dudes. So I don't love him as much as the other two. If I'm going to play somebody from this receiving core, it's probably Maloney and then Alexander. Sterling Palmer's their tight end. They throw to him a little bit. He can get some red zone targets as well. That's why I have him catching a touchdown. Okay, and Tulane's receivers. They have two solid receivers in Darnell Mooney and Jalen McCleskey. Mooney's been there for all 4 years. This is his senior year. 6,700 and 8,600 on FD. I don't love that. That's a little too expensive against the FIU secondary. That's pretty darn good. McCleskey too. He transferred from Oklahoma State. He was pretty good there, but there's a reason why he transferred. He wasn't better than what they had, and I don't love him either. 6,200 on DK. That's crazy. The other guy that's starting is Jatavian Tolles, and he really hasn't done much of anything. I don't think he'll be popular at 3,300, so he may be worth a shot if you're playing quite a few lineups. But yeah. Now, Tulane has a new offensive coordinator, and they're supposedly going to be going really fast, which I love, especially for the other team, FIU. So, good deal for their running back, their wide receivers, and their quarterback's 5,400 on DK. So, if you need a punt quarterback, he projects for about 20 DK. So, could be more. You just don't know. I kind of like that as well. He just doesn't give you he didn't give you that great upside because he didn't run the football. So you're kind of banking on him getting some passing yards and some touchdowns as well. Okay, next game we have is Texas State and Texas A&M. Texas State has a new coach, Jake Spavital. He was actually Texas A&M's offensive coordinator when Johnny Football was there. So he's going back home to Kyle Field to play against his former team. He designed that offense for Johnny Football and moved on to other places, and it didn't work so well. West Virginia, one of them. So don't know how it's going to work out for him there, but we'll see. He's on that same coaching tree with Cliff Kingsbury. They run that same kind of offense there. So Texas A&M quarterback is Kellen Mond. He's a dual threat guy, 8,500 on DK, which is probably about as low as we'll see him this year. I think he has a big year. They have a tough schedule this year, so I don't know. I think he has a pretty big year. He's a good quarterback. And it depends on how long he's in the game and if they even have to throw the ball. I think they may throw it a little bit just to get him some practice in. So this is a really bad Texas State team. They weren't bad on defense last year, so they pretty much returned everyone on defense. But it's an SEC team with pretty good depth. So if they're not beating them by the first half, but second half it's going to be over. But the other guy, the quarterback for Texas State, is Tyler Vitt, and Mond and Vitt actually played each other in high school. There's a video I watched that kind of detailed that. I wouldn't play him. He's a decent quarterback. He throws too many interceptions. Could leave a lot of short fields for A&M. Game could be over pretty quick, and I don't like his catch-up ability. If he's having to throw to come back, he's just gonna be throwing interceptions. So I don't love that. All right, running back wise, Texas A&M. They have Deshaun Corbin. He played last year a little bit. He's a sophomore this year. Kind of a smaller back. I like him a little bit. 7,700 though on DK and 9,900 on FD. I don't love it, especially since they have a bunch of other backs as well that are pretty darn good. They may try and get those other guys in there to get them work as well. His backup is Jacob Kabadi, and he's a good running back too. 5,100, 6,100 on FD. I don't love that, so I'll probably fade him as well. Isaiah Spiller's the freshman. He's a pretty good running back, 4-star recruit, and he'll probably be in second there or third. So he's probably the running back I like the most out of that backfield if you're going to play anybody and you really need the salary. 3K is, just get you a touchdown and maybe 60 yards or so, and you got it. So he could be an option there in GPPs for sure. Two running backs for Texas State, don't play them. Anthony D. Taylor and Anthony Smith. They're just meh. I would avoid. I don't see, if they're way behind, they're not going to be running the football anyway, so there's no point. Okay, so receivers for A&M. Courtney Davis was probably the big one coming down the stretch last year. He can make a big play. He's really shifty. He's an outside receiver for them, and I like him to make some noise this year. Actually, he's playing the slot this year. He can move outside if he has to. They're kind of thin on receiver as well. Jamon Osborne is one of the other starters. He actually is on the outside as well. He was pretty good last year. I think he got a little banged up. But 6,800, I won't be paying up for that. 6,900 for Courtney Davis, I probably won't pay up for that either. Osborne on FD is only 8K, so that's pretty good salary for him, as he made a lot of catches last year. The other guy, if he plays, because there's been reports that he's not even playing, is Kendrick Rogers. He's 5,300 on DK and 7,300 on FD. I'll definitely have some if he's confirmed playing, but I don't think he's practiced this week. So, I'm going to fade if that's the case, because he's not going to play if he hasn't practiced all week. Cameron Buckley, he's a possession guy. He'll play in the slot some. He's kind of a catch and get you a couple yards after contact there. Caleb Chapman, he's the guy that's backing up Kendrick Rogers. If Kendrick Rogers doesn't play, I have him projected pretty good for 3K and 4K on FD. So if that happens, watch out for him. They only have 2 tight ends as well, so if they want to throw to the tight end, they have Glenn Beal and Jalen Weidermeyer. They had a really good tight end, but he got injured in camp, so they're kind of SOL there. For Texas State receivers, just don't play any of them. I just have a couple of them projected up high, just because they're going to be behind, and one of them's going to catch a short pass and turn it upfield. Don't play any of those guys. All right, let's move on to I think it's the last game here. My favorite game. Kent State against Arizona State. I really like this game to be a shootout type game, possibly. I just think Kent State was really bad last year, but they had a lot of close games, which is crazy to think. But actually, I have one more game. It's the FD slate, UCF and FAMU, Florida A&M. Okay, so for Arizona State, they're starting a true freshman at quarterback, Jaden Daniels. He's kind of a dual threat guy. He's not really super fast, but he can move a little bit. They may give him some runs. Try not to get him too much and get him injured, but he's supposedly a really good passer. He won the job outright from a couple other guys in camp. So I think we see a lot of him at 5,600. That's cheap. And Kent State on defense is not good. They lost a lot of guys on their defensive line, so he should have a field day. They have 3 good receivers that could start for anybody, and I see him throwing for quite a bit of yards. They also have Eno Benjamin, who can catch a ball and take it to the house really easily. And Kent State, they're starting Woody Barrett. He's a dual threat guy. He made us some money last year. Had some big games. He almost always made value for cheap. So, I don't see a problem with playing him here. He's 4,900 on DK, bottom of the barrel, $400 more than minimum. And Arizona State isn't great on defense. Their rush defense is horrible. They aren't great. I don't see them, playing that well this year. I think they're ranked like 50 something in defense last year. All right, so running backs, of course, Eno Benjamin is the guy for Arizona State, and I'll probably have him in every lineup. He's 8,800, so you're spending a lot of money for him, but he's totally worth it, and he will catch the ball. If it stays a close game, he's going to get tons more carries too. So I like him a lot, and I see him maybe as the highest scoring guy on the slate. Isaiah Floyd can get some carries. He's 3,700, but I don't love him to really tear it up. If it's a blowout, he can come in and get some points for you. But I don't love it. Maybe a deep GPP guy. Joel Shaw, he's kind of a wild card. That ASU defense isn't great, and the Kent State line is much improved. So, you could possibly see him get some yards. I like him as a GPP play as well. It's only 4,800. If you want to pay down for running back to get a wide receiver, and that's pretty much all they have. They don't have a lot of depth right now with their new coach trying to clean things up, and this game is really good for just finding a couple guys, because there's not a lot of good. There's not a lot of depth here. It's just a couple of guys. They don't have big rotations. Now the wide receiver situation for Arizona State, I only see them with 3 good wide receivers. So you can kind of target these guys. They're a little pricier, but that's all right. Kyle Williams is the possession guy. I don't like paying $6,600 for him because he's going to need that touchdown to hit value. So definitely a GPP guy. Brandon Ayuk is he really came on last year. He won us a lot of money. I can see him definitely destroying some of those poor Kent State receivers. Our Kent State cornerbacks. Darby is also a big play guy. He can make some big plays if they need it. He's only 5,400, so you really can't beat that. It's going to be one of those three guys that's going to go crazy. Just gotta find the right one. For Kent State, they like to throw a lot of those short screen passes, a lot of hitches. When they don't, they go to Mike Kerrigan. He's kind of their deep threat guy. He's 4,900, and I like him a lot. The other kind of big receiver they have is Isaiah McCoy. He kind of plays on the outside. He's 6'3". He's a bigger fella, so I'll throw to him a little bit. The other starter is Antoine Dixon. He is if he's the smallish corner or smallish wide receiver on the outside. Yeah, he's 5'8", 175. He's a senior. They could throw to him a little bit too. They just love throwing those short passes, and on DK, those make all the difference, especially 4,400, 4,600, 4,900 for those three receivers is super cheap. You don't have to pay up there. If you're paying up for running back, those three guys are really nice. The other guy I wanted to talk about was Lonkevious McFadden, which sounds like a Key and Peele name from the East-West Bowl or whatever it was, from that skit. I like him a lot. He's a taller receiver when he got to play last year because he redshirted. He played in 4 games, I think. He had a big pass play, a long touchdown against Toledo. He's only 3,500, and he's one of the guys that the new coaching staff recruited. So he can come in and maybe get you a long touchdown pass or a couple catches at the end of the game for 3,500. I see him as a GPP guy as well. So I like that. And all right, let's get to this last game here. It's going to be FAMU, which is, I think, is that a HBCU? I always screw that up. I think they are a historically black college, and I could be wrong about that. So comment on my YouTube if I'm wrong. Who are they playing? UCF. Okay. So UCF is going to be starting Brandon Wimbush at quarterback. He is a transfer from Notre Dame, and also they're going to play Dylan Gabriel some snaps as well because they want to get him some looks. I think he's a freshman who they really like. So kind of limits Wimbush a little bit on FD. I may need to lower that projection a little bit, change it up just a little bit for Gabriel since he's coming in. I like him a lot. Just don't play Florida A&M's quarterback. He's not very good, not for DFS anyway, and I don't think he's really good in real life. They are a good team. They're just playing with their head way above, They're just not. There's just no way they're gonna contend with UCF at all. So just don't do it. It's not worth it. So same with the running backs. They've got Deshaun Smith and Ricky Henrylus, and I don't like either of them. Don't play them, especially with them being behind. They're not gonna hit value there. They're cheap. 5,900, 4,400, but I just don't see them. Hitting value. Now with UCF, they're gonna have at least 2 guys starting, playing running back during the game. It's going to be a 2-headed monster, just like last year. They're going to have McCray and Killins If you remember, McCray vultured touchdowns, Killins took touchdowns sometimes. So it's either one or the other. McCray, I think, is the better all-around back. He catches the ball out of the backfield, and he just seems to run with great power. I like him as well. 9,300, he's kind of pricey, but maybe worth the spend up there. I'd rather play him over Killins, but that's preference there. Otis Anderson is one of the guys I'd look at definitely on FD. He's 5,700, and I think he's going to have a lot more, just a bigger role this year. Just in the slot, he's going to catch some passes. He's going to run some, and also this Bentavious Thompson supposedly opening some eyes as well. So he's someone to look at on the FD side, 5,100. He's pretty cheap. He's definitely a GPP guy for me as well. And wide receiver wise, let's see here. Don't play any of the FAMU guys. Just don't. It's not worth it. Like, not even for GPPs. It's just a crapshoot. I guess Xavier Smith is okay. I think he was whatever conference they're in. He earned all conference last year, so he's maybe worth a shot. For UCF, let's start with Trey Nixon. He's 7,900, super cheap, and big playability written all over him. He's going to make a couple big plays and just make value easy. So he'd probably be the first guy penciled in. I'll probably have him in the core for FD. The other guy I like is Gabriel Davis. He's 9K on FD. I don't know if I'm paying up for that, but. And that concludes the end of the podcast. Just let me know if you have any questions. Hit me up in the Discord. I'll be around all this weekend. I'm working on Friday's slate right now, so just let me know. Thanks.